Hey guys! So today's look is based on this kind of like two-tone colorful green and pink eye. I really do not know how to describe it. I've just been feeling really colorful, vibrant, and just like bright lately, so I'm just like, let me just play around with some colors, and I pretty much just chose a couple of palettes that had really colorful shades in it, just bright, sparkly, and pretty much just went to town with this. And yeah, I just pretty much wanted to be creative with this. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a lot of Fairly Odd Parents, Cosmo, and Wanda vibes from this. And I'm actually kind of living because I love that TV show. So that's pretty much what went on right now. There really isn't a lot to say about this, except if you want to see how I did it, then just keep on watching. Now, before I start off this tutorial, I'm actually going to be moisturizing a little bit, and for that I'm going to be using the Tatcha Water Cream, which has a little bit of a plumping agent and at the same time a pore filler. So I will have a pretty smooth canvas to work upon, and my skin is nice and hydrated. And next, I'm going to be filling in my eyebrows using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pomade, and I'm in the shade Ebony. Just first gonna comb through my eyebrows, and then I'm pretty much gonna start filling them in. And I'm using the number EB17 brush from Sedona Lace. And I'm pretty much first starting off by filling in the outer corner, which is the darkest part, and then working my way towards filling in the front of the brow. And when I move it to the front of the brow, I'm having lighter pressure on my hand so that way I can get more realistic hair strokes. And I'm also flicking my brush up. And then once I'm done with that, I'm pretty much just combing through the brow, spread the product throughout the brow, and make sure that it looks a little bit more natural, or as natural as it can get. So now we're pretty much going to carve and conceal these brows, and for that I'm going to be using my favorite Maybelline Master Concealer. So this is full coverage, and it's also very inexpensive, which is why I like using it for this part, because I'm also going to use it as an eyeshadow primer. And to be honest, I don't like using a lot of expensive products for eyeshadow primer, so at least anything that's going to be covered up by a lot of color. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this to both carve up my brows and prime my eyes. And for that I'm going to be using an angled brush by Morphe. Take my Morphe E23 brush and just blend this concealer out. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the leftover product and use it to prime my eyes. Now I'm going to use a little bit of my Laura Mercier setting powder to set my eyelids. Now, as usual, I'm going to be doing my eyes first, and I'm going to start on my green side first. For that, I'm going to be using the Prism palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm going to be using the shade Sphere as my transition shade, and I'm picking that up using the Morphe E27 blending brush. Now, to darken it up a little bit and to continue with the green transitions, I'm actually going to use the Morphe 35C eyeshadow palette. This is pretty much how it looks like. You guys have pretty much seen it on my channel quite a few times already. I'm going to be using this middle shade right here to darken up the whole look a little bit more. And for that, I'm using the EB15 brush from Sedona Lace. I'm keeping it below the brighter green that we applied, so that it blends out softly into it, and that way we have our transition. This look will take a little bit of blending and a little bit of layering, but it'll be worth it in the end, trust me. Now I'm going to be using a little bit of this dark green to darken out the outer corner a little tiny bit, and I'm using the same brush for that as well. I'm going to be cutting my crease, but I'm going to do only a half cut crease, so I'm not going to take it all the way out. And for that, I'm going to be using a small kind of dome-shaped flat brush like this, and a little bit of my Maybelline concealer yet again. And right over that, I'm actually going to take this bright green shade from the Electric palette by NYX. It's like a beautiful, sparkly, kind of like baby green shade. Gonna pat that right on top. Now I'm gonna go ahead and blend out that cut crease using the darker greens we've used before. Now to darken this up a tiny bit in the outer corner, I'm actually going to take a little bit of the Subculture palette. I'm going to take the shade Axis and I'm going to place the tiniest amount in the outer corner just to darken it up a tiny bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a smaller brush and I'm really going to concentrate it right in the line in here so that way the cut crease is really intense. So that's pretty much one eye almost done. Now we're going to move on to the other side. Now for the pink side, I'm going to be using the NYX Electric palette first. And I'm going to use this top pink shade as my transition shade. It's kind of like a neon matte shade. I'm going to go ahead and take the exact same E27 brush that we used earlier for the lighter green. And I'm just going to use that as my transition shade. For a bit more color intensity, I'm actually going to take a different brush. You've seen me use this one before. It's from Vermona. And I'm really going to concentrate that right in the crease area. Just to pack on a lot more color. Now I'm going to take this hot pink shade from the Morphe 35C palette. And I'm going to place that right in the inner corner and in the crease a little bit just to darken it up. Kind of like what we did on the green side, only we're using hot pinks for this time. Again, you want to keep the darker colors lower than the lighter colors so that way there's a nice transition and a nice fade towards the brow bone. Just to darken it up a tiny bit more, I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions palette. I'm going to take this very last shade right here in the end, but just like literally like a smidgen. So same thing, I went ahead and I cut the crease on this side, and now I'm going to go ahead and pat this shimmery pink shade from the NYX Electric palette right on top of the concealer. The same thing how we did on this side, I'm just going to blend these shades together. Okay, so now we're going to take a little break from the eyes and we're going to move on to the rest of the face. Now, if you have not noticed, my skin is actually very oily even though I just used a moisturizer. You always want to moisturize before you do any kind of makeup. I'm going to be using the Boscia Perfecting White Charcoal Mattifying Treatment Primer. Now, I tried this a couple of days ago and at first I didn't like it that much, but now I'm pretty much starting to warm up to it a little bit. It does keep me looking matte throughout the day, and at the same time, it does fill in my pores, so I get kind of like a blank, smooth canvas to work upon. I don't have a lot of texture on my skin either, which is good. Pretty much rubbing this all over my face. I'm just gonna press it into the skin to make sure that it all just sinks in. And for a tiny boost of hydration, I'm actually gonna take a little bit of MAC's Fix Plus and just spritz this all over my face. Now for my foundation today, as you all know it, I'm gonna bust out my Clinique Beyond Perfecting 2-in-1 foundation. Okay, look at what the primer actually did to my skin. Like, it actually made it look more matte than oily. The Fix Plus did add a little bit of sheen, but other than that, my skin does look healthy. It looks matte. It looks good. I like it. Now for my foundation, I'm gonna bust out my favorite foundation of all time. This is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting 2-in-1 foundation. Now this is a concealer and a foundation at the same time, so it's gonna cover up a lot. It is very full coverage and a little bit also goes a really long way. So I'm just pretty much going to pat that in stripes on my face and then blend it out with a brush. And now I'm gonna take the e.l.f. foundation brush and I'm going to just buff that into my skin. I'm also going to see if I can blend it down the neck as well. And then I like to take my Real Techniques Beauty Blender sponge and just pat that over the foundation to make sure that it's blended out smoothly into the skin. Also, one of the reasons why I like this foundation a lot is because it's perfect for people who have acne prone skin, and I have a lot of acne prone skin, so it is literally a godsend. It looks very natural, it looks dewy, and I kind of like a dewy finish even though I'm oily. but still. Now for concealer, usually I use my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Medium Honey, but today I'm actually going to use something different. So I actually got my hands on the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Light Ivory. I'm actually going to use it underneath my eyes and to highlight my T-zone as well. Just gonna go ahead. And with my Real Take NYX Beauty Blender Sponge, just blending that out. It performed pretty well, but still not as much coverage as I'd like, so I'm still gonna bust up my Shape Tape by Tarte and place this right underneath my eyes. And very quickly, before this settles into my wrinkles, I'm gonna take my Airspun Coty powder and just pretty much beat this whole thing. Now again, because I'm oily, I really need to press these into my skin. Whew, now we're gonna let that cook. Okay, now I have a really oily skin, so I really have to let the powders pretty much settle into my skin. Especially I get really oily around my nose area, so what I always tend to do is I tend to really just press the powders into my nose, and I don't remove the powders from my nose until I'm entirely done with the face. And that's obviously before setting spray, that's obviously before at least contouring the nose, that's obviously before adding any highlight. Because my nose does tend to get really oily and really porous throughout the day, I then tend to press the powders into my nose, so that way it pretty much just settles in and it doesn't budge off throughout the day. Now it's already been a few minutes, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and remove the powder from the rest of my face except my nose. And for that I'm gonna be using my Kat Von D Foundation Lock-It Powder, and I'm in the shade Medium 62. I'm gonna use this big old fluffy brush for that because I have a big old face. I go ahead and buff that into the skin. And if you're wondering, this is the B Bella Cosmetics Powder Brush 101, as we're doing 101 makeup here. Okay, I did notice that the primer kind of clinged onto some dry patches that I had in here. It's not making it look good, but you know what, we're gonna continue on with the look and see how it turns out, okay? Okay, I pulled you guys in a little bit closer so that you guys can see how I'm gonna do my eyeliner. Let's hope that this turns out good. So for my eyeliner today, I'm actually going to be using a face paint. I do have some liners that I use, like pen liners and like liquid liners. However, I discovered a secret method that has saved my entire life, and that is by using a brush like this. So I don't have a gel so that I can dip it into that, but I do have my Mayron water activated face paint, so that's what I'm gonna do. Obviously, if you're gonna go out, then do something with waterproof liner, but I'm pretty much just gonna take this when I take pictures, so I'm just gonna use this. Oh, my face looks so dry right now. I can't freaking wait to put on my Fix Plus. And now for the waterline, I'm using the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Slide On Pencil in the shade Perversion. And now I'm taking some of the same colors that I use on the lids right on the bottom lash lines. I'm taking some of the darker shades I use in the outer corner to smudge it on the bottom lash line as well, close to the waterline. Now the powder on my nose has been sitting there for a really long time, so I think it's the perfect time to finally remove it. Just gonna go ahead with the UGU and just dust that all off. Okay, so now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm actually gonna take my MAC Studio Fix Plus and I'm going to spray this right now because I do have a lot of powderiness going on and I want to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretty much spritz this from afar. So my skin is hydrated once I put on my bronzer and my blush. And it'll also add as a sticky base so that my bronzer and my blush really stick well to the foundation. And for bronzer today, I'm actually going to be using a new one. It's from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's in the shade Cappuccino. This is pretty much how it looks like. I will say it's a little too red for my skin tone, at least in my opinion. So I'm gonna be adding a little bit of the M.A.C Mineralized Skin Bronzer on top to even everything out. Oh, and I'm using a Sephora number 204 highlight and sculpting brush. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use my M.A.C Mineralized Skin Bronzer in the shade Give Me Sun. And I'm gonna just use that to blend the other bronzer on the rest of my face and to give me an extra bronze going on, because I do love a bronzy finish. Then with a tiny brush, I'm gonna go ahead and take this and do the sides of my nose. For blush, I'm gonna be using my Jaclyn Hill Champagne Collections face palette. I'm gonna be using these two shades right here and apply them right in the apples of my cheeks. Now, while this is still a little bit wet, I'm actually going to be applying highlighter over it. So for that, I'm going to be using one of my favorites, which is Hustla Baby by Fenty Beauty. It's actually going to be this lovely highlighter right here. Apply that with a fan brush. I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of Mean Money on a small brush right underneath my brow bone. Now we're going to apply the very fun part, which is the colorful liner, and I've been dying to do this. So for that, I'm actually going to be using two products. For the green side, I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitter Liner in the shade Distortion. And for the pink side, I'm going to be using the NYX's Body Liner in the shade Krystal Gold. Now my lashes have already been applied off camera, and I also applied a little bit of mascara. I'm actually using the Bad Gal Bang Mascara by Benefit. It's actually become one of my favorites so far. And if you're wondering what lashes I'm using these from the Makeup Shack. Actually, they do not have a number or a name, but I'll leave a link to the website down below. So because I have a green eye and because I have a pink eye, I decided to make this look a little bit more interesting by highlighting the inner corners with the corresponding color. So I'm actually going to take the Anastasia Moonshot Glow Kit, which is a very colorful kit. I'm going to be using Pink Heart on the pink side, and I'm going to be using Lucky Clover on the green side. And lastly, for the lips, I'm going to be using Lolita II by Kat Von D. And then I'm going to be applying the NYX's Dual Chromatic Lip Gloss in the shade Cocktail Party on top. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead with this brown shade, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in my beard. Sadly, I do not have a beard, so I need to at least fill it in somehow, you know. Okay, so I kind of got carried away a little bit, so I actually ended up using a couple of face paints and a little bit of eyeliner with this, but doesn't it look cute? And that is it for this Cosmo and Wanda makeup look. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the links will be down below, as well as the list of products that I used in this video. So I really hope to see you next time, and bye!